Hello, I just wanted to make a very quick video about a subject, uh, which is kind of funny, really. It's this whole thing that people have become obsessed with, it to do with gender, yeah, and masculinity and femininity, and the reality of physical gender, and all sorts of things, yeah. Because it's very difficult to believe where things have gone thanks to the delusions of certain kinds of philosophy. Yeah. The thing is, um, many people, including homosexuals, have for decades discussed these kinds of subjects and been thrashing them out and thinking about them and trying to make sense of them, because everyone is very aware that men can be feminine and women can be masculine, and there are all sorts of mixtures of these sorts of things, yeah. And so we talk about these things a lot, or certainly used to, yeah. And we talk about these things and we try to separate out the concepts of masculinity and femininity from the gender reality of male and female. Yeah, we kind of tried to do that because we wanted to be able to understand and to be able to sort of like allow what we saw quite clearly was that, masculinity and femininity weren't some sort of like like totally polarized, separated things which were just plonked in either physical gender. Yeah, we kind of looked at that sort of stuff, but the thing is, it doesn't matter how you look at it, how you try to approach it, and and how you relate to this. Yeah, um, the the sense of the masculine and the feminine, and the sense of gender itself. Of course, it is. Of course, it goes back to male and female and physical, biological realities. That is its root, yeah. That's not what it ends up as. It ends up as something far more complex and nuanced, but it has roots in those things, yeah. We understand that it's obvious, and we've tried to sort of like look at it and pull it apart and try and see something, even see something else in it, and it's like, no, no. At the end of the day, there's male and female, yeah, and that is a reality. That's a reality. Of course, you do have hermaphrodites. They're an anomaly, yeah. There's and that's nothing wrong with that. It's not spiritually insignificant. Far from it. But you know, the basic thing is that there is male and female, and that our sense of the masculine and feminine, our language, it's in our language, yeah. It's in our language. Masculine and feminine, they go back to the male and female, yeah. The fact that that is not the end of the story, the fact that there is something behind that which is much deeper, psychologically and psychically and spiritually, that's its own question, and it's a very interesting one. Yeah, but we thrash this all out, and so when people come up and they come up with this whole thing now, youngsters come up with this whole thing, thinking that they've come up with something really new and radical and revolutionary. No, you've just not thought it through. You've just not. You've just not done enough work on it. Yeah, you really haven't. Yeah, it's crazy. Um, and it gets to be quite exhausting, actually. It's just a kind of like a bad philosophical overlay, which is stopping people really look into things deeply. um, and you should look into these things deeply, and see where they go, and you can see what you're going to unravel. But like, you know gender, we can talk about gender being a psychological thing, and we can talk about gender being all kinds of things. But our very language derives from biological reality. It derives from that. So we can say we can derive a poetry from this if you like, but the fact is we're deriving the poetry from very organic, very concrete realities that people have lived with for thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years. And they didn't go away just because somebody waved a particularly broken philosophical magic wand over the whole thing. Anyway, that's what I have to say on that. It is a really funny subject, you know. It's kind of because there are important things in it. There's important things in the discussion, and they're totally trashed by what is essentially political ambition. Really, it's activist political ambition, and that's always awful. So, yep, that's my little thought for the day.